Okay, let's go ahead and set up our server now with some standard code that we have seen before, but we're going to do it again because it's nice as a refresher. Whenever we create our server, we need to import express. Const express equals require express, and const Morgan equals require Morgan. Then we create our express application, and we tell our application to use Morgan tiny as a logger, and to use express.json. Missed a parentheses there. Okay, there we go. Now the express.json just ensures that Express parses any incoming requests, and it parses the body as JSON. Nothing fancy. Just covering a lot of what we did in one of the previous series. So if you don't remember that, go watch that video again because that'll explain a lot. We're also going to set the port to 3001, and then we're going to set our server to listen on that port, and when it does, we are going to console.log server listening on port, and we're going to interpolate in the port variable, and then we're going to add a rocket ship because it's fun. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to save that. Our server should be good to go. Now, before we do anything else, I'm going to head back into my package.json file, and I'm going to update the scripts section of my package.json. So I'm going to say the start script is going to be equal to, and again, this is what we do when we run node. When we say node server.js, that will run the server file, but we can actually use a script in our package.json. We can just say node npm start, and that will run whatever script we put in here the same way as if we put node server.js in the terminal. So we can just run npm start whenever we want. And that's that's the standard way to start applications like this, except we're actually not going to use node here. We're going to use one of the packages we installed, Nodemon. All Nodemon does is it watches all of our files for changes, and if it notices a change in any of our files, it restarts our server for us. So we don't have to constantly start our server, stop our server, start our server, stop our server every time we make a change. Nodemon will watch over all of our files, and it will restart the server whenever it notices a file change. Except we want to ignore any file changes in the data directory, because if our data changes, if we update our file, or actually like the data in our application, when our application is running, we don't want to restart the server. And so that's all this script is saying. It's saying, hey, I want you to start the server, and I want you to watch all the files, and then whenever anything changes except anything in the data directory, restart the server. And so then we can get that up and running just by saying npm start. And there we go. Oh, I messed something up. Let's see. That is already in use. I already have a server running. Let's see what. Okay, figured it out. I had a server running somewhere else, so that is my fault. Let's try that again, and it should work this time. Okay, great, it does. And we see this time it tells us, hey, Nodemon, it says to restart anytime, enter rs, or it's going to watch all of these paths and make sure if anything changes, it'll restart the server. So if I come in here and I say server listening on port, and I put a dot at the end of that, or period, and I save it, notice that it restarts the server again for us. So we don't have to stop the server and start the server every time we do anything new, and this is really nice for development. So now we have our server up and running, and it's time to start adding all of our routes and files and models and good stuff like that.